Welcome to the ultimate Tolkien tournament. This is Middle-earth Madness. Welcome back, everyone, to the Elite Eight of our Races of Middle-earth Summer Tournament. That's right, only 8 characters left. It is hard to believe, is it not, that we are down to 8. Weirdly enough, we can go ahead and guarantee you that dwarves will make one of our final 4 spots. Men will make one of our final 4 spots. The races of evil creatures will be represented also in the final 4. And the last spot is up in the air. It'll either be a second man or the elven race. So let me show you what we're talking about here. Behold, our Middle-earth bracket. So here we are in the quarterfinals round, and if this is your first time watching, if you're watching on replay, go to middleearthmadness.com, bracket tracker page. You can follow along at home. You're seeing what we're seeing, minus these little gray boxes here that I have to set our winners for tonight, okay? But you can click on individual characters throughout the whole bracket. It's interactive, and you can follow along, bring up your little character cards here, check out the stats, check out the key victories and the losses, their record in the preseason, and all the quote-unquote Madden stats that each character is driven by in our battle engine here. Tonight, we have on tap 2 fights for you. One of them projects as excellent, the other perhaps not so much. One is dueling the 1 seed out of this region of the bracket against fellow dwarf Balin, the 8 seed. So Balin, how'd they get here? Well, Balin is representing the 8 seeds. Little recap of how this bracket works. This style of bracket is sort of unique because, you know, one doesn't play a 16 in the very first round like your conventional tournament bracket, right? 8s play 8s. They're grouped by race initially. So right here we have Balin, Haldir, Bard, Grishnak. Balin's a dwarf, Haldir is an elf, Bard is a man, and Grishnak is an orc. All 4 different races, all 4 are 8 seeds. So it's like a mini tournament to find out which 8 seed can advance out of there and represent not only their race, but the 8 seeds overall in this case, getting fed to the wolves. The 8 seeds then in the quarterfinals where we're at now have to fight the 1 seed. Right, so that's the disadvantage of the bracket is here in the quarterfinals, you get your sort of projected beatdowns. Now, I will say that is only a projection, for you are never out of the fight, and anything can happen in Middle-earth fights. Just ask Eowyn, right? Upsets do happen. They definitely happen here in the battle engine. Our second fight for tonight, brother on brother violence from the land of Gondor. Yes, we have Boromir of Gondor taking on Faramir of Gondor. So, interesting fight there. We'll get a little more into the lore before we set that one up. How'd they get here? Well, Boromir slew the Watcher in the Water, advanced to take on Gimli, who had already slain Gil-galad in a bit of an upset. And then Boromir takes down Gimli in a great fight to represent the race of men. Out of all the, what were they? The 4 seeds there. Yeah, it should be 4 seeds. And then on the bottom, Faramir. No, you can't say it's upset. He defeated Azog, fellow 5 seed, and Galadriel in a little bit of an upset, again, fellow 5 seed, to again represent the race of men in the quarterfinals. So that is this half of the bracket that we are dealing with tonight. Take a minute to welcome Farmer David to the group. How you doing, Farmer David? We just did a little bracket recap there.
Hey, what's up?
Doing good here in the Chamber of Death. We got one just amazing fight on tap tonight, and one that doesn't project quite so nicely, but you never know.
Yeah.
First fight is going to be Tourney against Bali.
And so this, by definition, is the first fight between same races, right?
Yes, has to be. This is the first place where it's possible in the bracket to have race, battles amongst the same race. Exactly.
Right. So if we said it in basketball language, we had like 8 conferences. Each conference has all the races in it. There emerges a champion. In the one seed bracket, Duran. In the 8 seed bracket, Balin.
Exactly. Yep. So this is the first place that by organization, no members of the same conference, as you say, or race could have fought until now. Now all bets are off. It goes by seed basically from here on out. So may the best character win, and of course still may the best race win, although it's not structured like that anymore from here on out. 1 second here while I get my technology working. Initial thoughts on this one. I'll flash it again before we bring up the battle engine.
I have to recheck my bracket, but I feel like I had, I feel like I had this called perfectly. In terms of, I think I got this matchup all the way at this point, through the bracket.
Done.
Maybe I could be wrong, but because I just pretty much auto drafted dwarves only throughout the bracket just to be fun.
Yeah, because you're playing as dwarves, right?
Yeah. I just kind of went all in on them. So
yeah, exactly.
I don't know if that's the right strategy. Probably not. But anyways, just for fun. So anyways, and then on this fight specifically, I guess, Dane is the favorite, right? I can't see Balin winning. But you never know.
Yeah, exactly. Duran's a heavy favorite here. Let's go ahead and get the battle engine up. Let's see here.
Because he has the last Dwarven ring, right?
He does indeed. Although, look at a glance there, the advantage might not be as stark as you might think with a 1 against an 8 in terms of seeding, right? Because check this out. We've got...
Wow, look at that. Look at that. Look at
only
that.
A few big... So it really is the Dwarven ring, right? That's about it.
These people are related, right? All dwarves are related at some point, but you know what I mean.
Great question. In the lore, are they distantly related? I don't actually know the answer to that off the top.
Okay.
Balin is not one of the noble dwarves. I think Thorin, the Longbeards, represented by Thorin, Thrain, Thror, those are descendants of Durin. I don't think Balin is, but that's only a guess. You guys drop it in the comments if you can fact check me on that. But yeah, huge spirit advantage here for Durin, King of Moria, King of Khazad-dûm before it was Moria. Because, as Engine Chief said, he does have that dwarven ring, and he is not afraid to wield it. Although, I won't do a deep dive into the fact that dwarven rings of power are not quite elven rings of power, right? Don't think of them as magic spell blasts. Not that really the elven rings do that either, but all Tolkien really tells us about the dwarven rings is that each one of them was the sort of initial investment beneath a dwarven treasure hoard. So each dwarven treasure hoard throughout the history of Middle-earth, usually you will find at the base of it one of the dwarven rings of power. Now, they were all ultimately gathered up by Sauron before the Third Age, right? Or before the War of the Ring, we'll say. before the events of The Hobbit. So, yeah, all those Dwarven rings ultimately were Sauron's. What he used them for, anyone's guess. But at this stage, and how the characters were programmed here, Durin does have that ring of power, and so gives him a spirit and a magic advantage over Balin. What else stands out here, guys?
How scarily they're equal on everything else.
Yeah, they're both going to do melee combat. They don't really have a choice. Their range combats are not that effective. Battlefield conditions tilt slightly in favor of Balin here, actually. So each is going to use their preferred weapon about 74% of the time, about 3/4 of the time. Slight advantages, across the board for Durin, as you'd expect. He's the 1 seed representing dwarves. Balin is the 8 seed, the worst of the dwarves in this tournament field. And yet, kind of like the elves, dwarves and elves, they don't depreciate a whole ton from 1 to 8. That's another thing that makes this tournament kind of an interesting format. Like, if we go from a 1 seed to a 16 seed in a 64 team field or a 48 team field, much more stark differences and drop-offs from a 1 seed on down to the worst seed. In this field, as you can see in the snapshot, not so much. Who are you guys picking in this one?
I'm going with Dane for sure.
Durin?
Durin?
Yeah, sorry. Keep doing that.
Durin.
I'll go with Balin for fun. This graph is just takes my breath away. So what we're going to see in effect is equal ability to do everything except once you penetrated the enemy's armor, and they're both doing melee, so they'll be penetrating with their hammer or their matlock, similar thing. Less damage per hit, perhaps.
Yes. Less damage per hit for Balin, right?
Yes.
That's what we're looking for. All right.
That's a very second order effect. And so, you might not ever even see that.
Yep. One last thing to take a quick peek at. Here are our standings. This is just our tourney group, if you will, our tourney pool that we have amongst the founders here. We've got Engine Chief still clinging to a slight lead over Patty Man, and then Chucky in 3rd and Haunty in 4th. Now, Engine Chief is Team Evil, so he doesn't have any dogs in any fights tonight. His guys will fight tomorrow night. Patty Man is representing humans, Haunty elves, and Chucky Nalgrim. So, Chucky's getting points tonight regardless, because in this first fight, a dwarf will advance, as we said, at the lead.
So that's 4 points at a minimum, or 8 points at a maximum. So he'll go from 20 to something like 28 and totally lap the field.
Yes.
Temporarily. There's other fights later tonight.
Yeah, and then same thing for Patty Man in the second fight, because it's human on human. So he's guaranteed a guy in the final 4. And with that, let's kick off our first fight of the night, shall we? Let us fight! In our first fight of the Elite 8 of the Races of Middle-earth tournament, we have Durin the Fourth against Balin. Dwarf on dwarf violence. Let us fight. First attack goes to Balin with the Dwarven Magic. Engages, but fails to hit. Back comes Durin, also a failure to engage. And they're dancing right off the bat, circling, trying to hit each other with their heavy dwarven weaponry. A dagger throw attempt by Balin goes wide, and back comes Durin. He engages, can't hit. Boy, you'd think these were elves the way that they're dodging each other. Dwarves, of course, not known for their agility necessarily or their elusiveness. But the first hit goes to Balin with a dagger throw. And first blood is drawn with the less favorable weapon to Balin, who had the battlefield advantage in this one. Now, Tourney dusts himself off, attacks. A hit, but no damage off the dwarven armor. Back comes Balin. Attacks. Can't do anything. Tourney counters. Nothing. Balin, nothing. Tourney, nothing. Through 15 rounds. Advantage to Balin. An upset in the making, perhaps? A hit and a wound again with a dagger throw. Boy, I don't know what kind of daggers Balin is packing, but it's been his only effective attack tonight. Only effective attack for either character. Now, can Tourney do any damage? Perhaps he should start hunking rocks or something. Nothing. Back comes Balin. A hit again, but no damage. Glancing blow off the armor. And Tourney attacks. Can't engage. Balin engages, can't hit. Tourney engages, can't hit. Balin. And they're dancing. Dancing and dancing through 22 rounds. Advantage still to Balin. A hit and a wound again by Balin. Slay!
Whoa.
A perfect victory and an upset by the 8 seed Balin.
Wow.
Balin the dwarf is going to the Final Four.
That was an interesting strategy with the dagger throws.
Dude.
Axe
super
throws,
interesting.
whatever.
A flawless victory. So you heard us on the pregame. We told you anything can happen, man. Upsets happen all the time in Tolkien. They happen all the time here in the Chamber of Death in Middle-earth Madness. That doesn't mean this was likely. In fact, it was quite unlikely. But you saw in the pregame comps, these characters weren't super different across the board. And the power of the Dwarven Ring could not protect Tourney in the end.
Do me a favor, please. Get out of here. Get out of here, man. Shit, I'm saying.
Yes, indeed. So upsets do happen, and we are going to go ahead and we're going to make it official by advancing old Balin. Balin. Hold on. We got to get the bracket up. Here we go. Sorry. We are going to advance Balin to the Final Four. Balin's tomb, not too far from the death place of Durin in Khazad-dûm. It's a little Moria connection going on with these two that's kind of fun. Now, refresh my memory, guys. Balin, was he also slain by the Balrog, in fact? I don't think it's clear. I think it might have been the orcs, drums in the deep. Something was coming, and Balin did not survive, right?
I do not.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I don't know if it's clear, if it's specified.
Yeah.
Something. I don't know. No, because it's Durin's Bane is its nickname, right?
Yeah. So it slew this guy. It slew Durin the Fourth,
Sure.
which gave it the name Durin's Bane. And then Balin's quest to reclaim Khazad-dûm was going all right for a while until they woke it up again, right? Drums in the deep. And I just don't remember if it was Balrog or the other orcs of Moria.
That's another interesting thing to, I don't know, I guess people can put it in the comments or we can look it up later.
For sure. All right. What is our next fight? Ah, yes. A brotherly battle. 2 men of Gondor. Dada liked Boromir better and would not forgive Faramir. And this, of course, they hammed up that storyline a little bit in the book or in the movie, right? But it was a little bit of a pain point for Faramir, to say the least, when Boromir was appointed for the quest of Rivendell. Sort of against his will. He was saying to Denethor, Boromir was, hey, Faramir should go, I don't have to go. let me, stay captain of Osgiliath and defend the marches of our kingdom against, the growing power of Sauron. Faramir should go to the quest of Elrond, and Denethor wasn't having it. He sent Boromir. So Faramir, of course, had to be Ranger of Ithilien, defending Ithilien with special ops tactics, as we always say, from that awesome Civ 2 scenario of Lord of the Rings, right? Where Faramir is basically a paratrooper that you can insert behind enemy lines, and he does, Navy SEAL shit in the background. And awesome scenario for Civ 2 fans out there. If you guys know of other Lord of the Rings scenarios for other Civs that I might not have played, I'm sure they're out there, mods for Civ. Lord of the Rings based ones, but I never found one that was as good as that Civ 2 one 30 years ago or whatever it was. Just they kept getting worse instead of better. There was a Civ 3 one that was pretty cool, but that Civ 2 one was excellent. So blast for the past there. Drop in the comments if you guys like that one.
Here's a fact for you.
Say it again, Engine Chief.
Balin was shot by an orc archer while looking into Mirror, the lake outside the eastern gate of Moria.
Ah.
It does say they disturbed the Durin's Bane, the Balrog, but it wasn't the Balrog itself that killed him.
Correct. Excellently done. I also wasn't aware that he actually made it out of Moria and only to be slain outside the Miromir. That's good trivia too. And he does refer to the Watcher in the Water. So the dwarves of Balin's company ran into all the nasty things in Moria during that quest, that ill-fated quest. But anyway, back to our next fight. You guys tell me initial thoughts on this one, if you would, por favor, while I pull it up.
Yeah, this is a very fun matchup. I don't know. I feel like my picks are cursed now, but
here's where you say the younger brothers are always better.
That would be a good line.
Yeah, but also his ranged factor is
yes,
that should play a part here. So we'll see.
Good point. Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because that really is here. Let's get the battle engine up so folks can see. But that really is the difference in these two characters. All right, almost got it up here. Can you guys see this?
Repeat what Cs they are, 4 and 5?
Yeah, this one's closer than the other one. So this one's 4 and 5. And yet more differentiation in these two perhaps than with the Dwarven fight, one against 8. But maybe not as much as you think. Let's break this down a little bit. Sizable ferocity advantage there for Boromir. In melee combat, he is the stronger character, right? So that makes sense. Ferocity goes to Boromir, 91 to 72, significant advantage. Let's skip the range stuff for now because we'll get to that in a second. That's an interesting difference. Striking also advantage to Boromir, although 82 to 70, 12-point advantage. I'd say that's borderline significant too. He's just the stronger character. He's got a better blade. Faramir's more of a ranger, less strong. It's right there in the lore. Not really debatable. Boromir physically stronger. Now deflection, Boromir advantage there. Based on Boromir has a shield, right? He carries a shield. Faramir does not. Now armor, again, armor points are also due to the shield, which brings us to the ranged game. Now, accuracy advantage goes for Boromir, but that's misleading. Boromir's ranged attack is the Horn of Gondor. It's a scare weapon, right? Think of it like think of it exactly how you thought of it in the books. You could say it has, a fateful, almost magical quality to it. Blow this horn and help will come, right? Boromir blows the horn. Faramir hears it in a dream all the way from Ithilien, right? And ultimately it washes down the stream to land at Faramir's feet. So a very fateful quality to Tolkien's writing in that storyline, it's a magical weapon. Now, look at its piercing, though. The Horn of Gondor, only 40 piercing, despite it being 95% accurate. So it almost never misses, but it also is going to have a tough time doing any damage to a character with any considerable deflection. Notice Faramir's deflection here, not that good. So, yeah, again, as Farmer David said, ranged battle, when they are forced to use their ranged weapons, it's going to be interesting. So Faramir wants to use his ranged weapon, which we haven't talked about yet. 1 minute on that. The Bow of Ithilien. Boromir is going to use his sword. So they're going to fight differently throughout this whole fight. But 1/4 of the time, they'll be forced to use their alternate weapons. So we should see Faramir switch to his blade, and we should see Boromir switch to his horn if the fight goes on, 20 rounds or more, say, right, to give us a decent sample size. Now, let's see what Faramir is apt to do with his bow. Faramir's accuracy, so his ability to land ranged hits, is 80. Not much worse than Boromir's on that line. Well, 15 points, but still very good accuracy. But look at the piercing. 69 piercing versus 40. When he hits Boromir, he's going to be able to do some damage, but Boromir's deflection is much higher than Faramir's. So it's actually higher than Faramir's piercing. So, I don't know. I feel like Boromir's advantages kind of wash out Faramir's strengths in this one. What do you guys think? They all agree with me.
Yeah, I mean, that last sentence in the pregame there, lots of defense. You could be here a while. They're both good at stopping what the other one does. So
yeah, exactly.
This could take a while.
Are we ready to find out?
We should be.
Then someone say it for me.
Let us fight.
Yeah. In our second fight of the Elite Eight of the Races of Middle-earth tournament, we have for you brother-on-brother violence. Boromir of Gondor against Faramir of Gondor, the House of the Stewards. Round 1. Let us fight. First attack goes to Faramir and instantly a hit. 3 damage. Drawing first blood is the little brother. Comes Boromir. He engages, cannot hit with his sword. Faramir, from ranged again, hits, but it lands in Boromir's shield. Blocked. Back comes Boromir. Swings his sword, can't engage. Faramir counters. Another hit, another wound. Chipping away already through 5 rounds is Faramir. Perhaps his strategy paying dividends. Boromir attacks. He hits. No damage. Deflected by Faramir. Faramir attacks. Forced to use his sword and can't engage. Now here's an opportunity for Boromir to counter in melee. He engages. Can't hit. Back comes Faramir. Engages. Can't hit. And they're dancing. A hit there, no damage in the 11th round. Boromir blows the Horn of Gondor, but it does no damage. Advantage to Faramir by 6 points in the 12th round. Faramir attacks. Again, forced to use his sword. Blocked by Boromir. Boromir attacks. Nothing. Faramir and they're dancing, circling each other again. Unable to engage. A hit there by Faramir. Blocked by Boromir's shield. Now, Boromir attacks. Can't even engage. Faramir, same thing. A first wound by Boromir. Only slight, but draws blood to even the fight. Now Faramir. A hit and a wound. That one with his sword for the first time. So Faramir here, again, your ultimate hybrid character. He's almost as good with his sword as he is his bow. So he's very balanced. Doesn't mind if, the fight dictates range or melee. No big deal to Faramir. Boromir, much more about melee combat, but so far ineffective. Now Boromir attacks. A hit and a wound, and just as I say that, Boromir takes the lead.
There you go.
Their sword stroke of the fight. Boromir with the lead in the 22nd round. Faramir gets up, dusts off his rangery robes, and attacks. A hit, no damage. Boromir counters. A hit and a wound, another stroke by Boromir to gain the advantage. In the 24th round, the fight's tilted heavily in favor of Big Bro. Back comes Little Bro. A hit and a wound, but only extremely slight. Can Boromir finish it? A hit there, no damage. Faramir a chance. A hit and a wound! A much better damaging stroke. No one's out of this fight yet. A diminishing lead here for Boromir in the 27th round. Can he hold on to it? He attacks. Engages, can't hit. Faramir. It hits and wounds. Is it enough? Oh, it takes Boromir down to the very brink of death. Advantage for Faramir in the 29th. And he did that with his bow, the bow of Ithilien. Excellently done by Little Bro.
If Boromir
Now.
comes back and wins this, it'll be the best fight ever.
Yes. What do we always say? In
You are
Middle
never
Earth,
out of the fight.
That is right. In Middle Earth, as in the Chamber of Death here, you are never out of the fight. Boromir picks himself up, straps on his shield again, and attacks. He hits! No damage. Back comes Faramir. Can he finish it? He hits! No damage. Another opportunity for Boromir. He's going to have to make it count. He attacks, engages, can't hit. Back comes Faramir. He hits! No damage. Blocked by Boromir's shield. Boromir hanging in through 32 rounds. Can he land any damage? A hit and a wound by Boromir, taking it down to 17. Boromir is not done yet, ladies and gentlemen. Now, Faramir. Ooh, he's playing with his food a little bit. You get the feeling he needs to land another arrow stroke here. Faramir gains the initiative. Attacks. A hit and a wound! It's enough! 3.15 damage, and Faramir slays his big brother and advances to the final four.
Yes.
What a fight. That's what we like. Come on, guys.
The death stroke was a tiny little thing, like pulling off his bandage and letting him bleed to death.
No kidding. Man, yeah. So that was a good one right there. One of the highlight fights of the night. We'll have to put that one up on the old feature fights page. And good old Faramir advancing to the final four. Now, I would argue, as we pull the bracket back up here, check this out. So, Faramir, you could argue he's had the toughest path of anyone. I don't know, man. Sorry, Azog, no slouch. Galadriel beat her. Boromir, definitely no slouch. Granted, the 4s and the 5s, that's a tough draw to begin with. But still, pretty tough path for Faramir. And look what we got. We're going to advance him to fight Bali in the final four. How many of you guys had that in your bracket?
Really?
Yeah, that's going to be a fun one.
Yeah.
What are those seeds? 8 and 5?
8 against 5 in the final four.
Yeah.
Yeah, so both are upsets to some
Yep.
extent.
Both upsets tonight. Very cool. Very cool. And dwarves secure a place. Points for Chucky. Men secure a place. Points for Patty Man. Not that was really in suspense, but it happened. It's official. Now, tomorrow night, what do we got? Join us tomorrow night for more action down at the bottom of the right side of the bracket. Again, you can pull this up, MiddleEarthMadness.com, bracket tracker page. Bottom right, we have an all-evil matchup. Engine Chief chomping at the bit to see which of his guys will advance to the Final Four. The Battle White or the Olog High.
Spoiler alert, I'll be for the Barrel White because then he could go all the way and then I could win the tournament.
Well, there you go. Why not the Olog High then?
Yeah, he's not that good.
Yeah, okay, not feeling too lucky about that one. Yeah, the Olog High. Beat Helm Hammerhand, beat Dane. It's a tough path too right there. Top half of the bracket, we've got Aragorn against Thranduil. Again, just like we said, a 1 against an 8 seed should be, an easier win for the 1 seed typically. Same should be true with Aragorn facing Thranduil. But as we always say with these ranged characters that live and die by the 3, you can look really good just, landing lucky shots from range and not engaging in melee, staying safe, until you get punched in the teeth and knocked out, right? In this case, by Anduril, perhaps. So, yeah, we'll leave it at that and tune in tomorrow and see what happens in that one. But that should be an interesting mismatch of fighting styles.
Styles make fights.
Styles make fights. Correct. All right, guys. Well, thanks for hopping on tonight. Any final thoughts before we peace out for the evening?
No, those were two really fun fights.
Really
especially
good
the second one.
Yeah, both of those were good.
100%. All right, guys. Check us out at MiddleEarthMadness.com. Go ahead and give us likes and follows and all that good stuff across whatever social media platforms you like. TikTok, we're on there. Insta, we're on there. Facebook, we're on there. If anyone's still on there, we are. Twitter, all the things. So get out there, follow us however you guys like to follow us. Spread the word. Do us a solid. Tell your friends. Tell your mama. Tell your babies. We're out here. And with that, in the words of Gandalf, you can only come to the morning. Excuse me. You cannot come to the morning except through the shadows. And where there is light, there is always hope. And as Farmer David said earlier in the show, you are never out of the fight. We'll see you guys tomorrow.